This episode of XIV Reborn is brought to you by Audible. If you want 30 free days, head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker. While you're there, we'll hook you up with a free book. Enjoy.
Gamebreaker TV.
Internet, and welcome to XIV Reborn, episode number 28 for March 11th, 2014. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magic Man, and on today's show, Dungeons and Side Stories get a bit of a preview. A new race is coming to Eorzea. That'll probably be the bulk of our discussion, just saying. And thank God it looks like Gilgamesh isn't a fate, but we don't know for sure. First, joining me, as he always does, for some XIV chat, Mr. Michael Poveromo, a.k.a. Mr. Happy Brand. How are you, sir?
Doing swell. It's a good week. It's a good week. It's gonna be a good show. And, where's my patch 2.2 release thing that I've been predicting for 2 weeks now?
Yeah, it was kind of a busy no-news week. We'll get to that in a second. Joining us today from Gamebreaker Nation, and if he moved his camera and screwed up the shot, I'm gonna body slam him. Corey Hernandez, aka Viper. How are you, sir? That is a badass mohawk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm feeling great. Glad to be here.
We are certainly glad to have you. We've been cycling in some of Gamebreaker Nation's finest ladies and gentlemen that happens to be my friends from the Gamebreaker Nations, and they know a thing or two, so we've invited Viper to join us today. Thank you for being able to. Let's kind of get started. I mean, I am in a tie. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm wearing...
I'm jealous.
You can't see me. I am wearing my artifact gear, and that makes Mr. Happy not so happy when I say that.
Don't make me put on my artifact gear.
In celebration of my raid group's T4 downing this week. Well, thank you. I know we're only a month or so behind. It's okay. It's all right.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
We're good. We still got 3 weeks, T5 before patch 2.2. There's some other Gamebreaker Nation raid groups that have already started turn 5. Best of luck to them. They've been practicing for a few weeks now, so we're in the hunt to try and get this done before the patch. Viper, you were part of the group, man.
I was.
Felt
it was a
good.
great night.
It felt really good, finally. I don't know what it was, man. It was just like execution. Everybody was going great, and then a healer would make a mistake, and everybody was going great, and a tank would miss a pool.
It was always something.
Yeah, usually the bard. Anyway.
Oh.
Viper is our bard.
I had a feeling. That's where that. I don't think he wouldn't have responded that way if he was like, yeah, he would have been like, yeah, that guy.
I'm the legendary bard that raised everybody that tried to die. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right. Remember I told that story a few episodes back when we were like, just wipe it, guys, just wipe it on turn 2 ADS. And all of a sudden, everybody's back up because the bard popped limit break.
Listen, he's got a winner's attitude. You guys gave up. You guys are cowards.
That's exactly what I said.
All right, let's get started here, gang. So Dungeons and Side Stories got a little bit of love on this week's Lodestone posts, a little bit of a preview. Now we'll come back to the side story in just a second. We're gonna treat that as its own little thing because of the whole Gilgamesh thing, and it makes Mr. Happy incredibly happy. So we'll talk about Gilgamesh later. Let's start with the dungeons. Now, first up, we have the new dungeon, formerly called the Ruins of Amdapor, but now the official title that we've seen is Lost City of Amdapor. They showed the level requirements. Got to be 50. Got to complete the main story arc. I level 55. Is this everything we all pretty much expected? Do we expect anything else as far as requirements?
No, just one little quest that you're going to be able to pick up from an NPC real quick. Nothing major. Same prerequisites as the last group of hard mode and new dungeons.
Now, are you
Same old.
you guys surprised that the eye level maybe isn't bumped up a little? I mean, they've said that this was supposed to be, well, is going to be more difficult than Pharaoh's Sirius, which is going to get its tweak. So it's essentially the most difficult regular dungeon in the game when it launches, but yet holds the same requirements as Wanderer's Palace way back when. You're... And I know this is, like, weird, right? We talk about this is what it's required to queue up for, right? Not probably what it's going to actually take to beat.
Absolutely not. If Hawkman or Hard Mode's anything to go by, item level 49, maybe? Not likely? No, not a chance.
I think this is harder content, or it needs to be harder content than it is right now. They could push the bar at this point. Everybody's kind of caught up.
So this is kind of like, and we talked about this, Mr. Happy, you and I last week about Leviathan. This is what it's going to require to queue up. But you're probably going to need to be higher to actually beat it in a reasonable time and have an easy or a challenging manner instead of bone-crushing your face on your desk for 3.5 hours. I remember Pharaoh's Sirius, right? When people first queued up for that, the requirements were the same, but there were groups that were at that eye level that just flat-out couldn't beat it. They couldn't beat the heal requirements at the end for the final boss.
I thought the item level requirement for Pharaohs was 49.
So this is slightly up then.
Yeah, and I don't think they were exactly sure where we were going with those Pharaoh series changes, if we were getting higher item level gear or the dungeon was getting nerfed. They were a little bit ambiguous about that. So with the average item level being 55, I'm interested to see if the difficulty... Also now they've had 2 patches to learn about boss mechanics, which we saw already from 2.0 to 2.1, a vast improvement in programming for individual boss fights. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they've improved even further. But that doesn't stop Party Finder. Minimum item level 98, or kick, no wipe, win in less than 8 minutes. So...
But I don't know. It's got to be more challenging, right? I mean, it has to have more difficulty than previous stuff at this point, especially if we're taking away myth cap and things like that in 2.2, right, Vipe?
I think they can push the bar further than they are at the moment, especially if they're going to drop the myth cap. People are going to be able to gear up faster, and they're going to want to feel challenged. And if they have all this myth gear and they're still doing level 55 stuff, it's not going to feel challenging.
So I'm going to show the viewers at home here. Thank you for joining us. So this is our Lost City of Amdapor image. Now the write-up teases blind worms, Happy. Any takers on the boss? I hope this doesn't indicate another dragon.
It's weird. A boss, not even a boss, a type of enemy that I remember from Monster Hunter came to mind, because there's an entire cave full of them, blind worms. And the only other thing I can think of is like a sandworm-like boss, but the dungeon is shrouded in what I believe to be pollen. A lot of people seem to think it's dust, but based on the dungeon preview we got with the Wamuras and the Fungars, I have a strong feeling it's pollen. I'm wondering if that theme is just for the initial part or if that's going to roll the whole way through. I have a feeling it's going to be a sandworm-type boss. We've not
we
really
already have one. Yeah, we do. We have one in Cutter's Cry.
He doesn't.
He's not.
What do you mean he doesn't count? He's a worm that fights you on a bed of sand and digs into the damn thing. What do you mean he doesn't count as a sandworm?
But that's not really a significant fight, though.
Yeah.
Well, none of them in Cutter's Cry are really significant fights.
Hey, listen, you can solo Chimera on any job except for Monk. So.
And in the future, we already know that Ishgard's going to play a big part, particularly in expansion, which means Stone Vigil's going to play a bigger part as we get closer to the expansion, which means dragons are going to play a bigger part as we get closer to the expansion. But I would really hate to see Amdapor turn into another dragon fight. I just really would. Because I like the whole Amdapor...
that same dragon, but it's got -HM at the end of it.
Jeez. Check it. This seems very tough. Hard mode, speaking of HMs, hard modes are Halatali and Brayflox, which we've known about for a while. We kind of predicted these again, Happy, but I want to put the question out there with you and Viper on the show. Is there one that you would have rather have seen than these two at this point? Hawk Manor was the one that I really wanted, and I got that. I got Hawk Manor right away. So where are you guys sitting? Which one do you want to see, Viper?
I want to see Stone Vigil. I really like the environment. I like the lore inside there. And if you set that in a hard mode environment, man, I think that'd be really challenging content because it's already kind of hard at the level it's at right now.
And me, I've said it before, I think Sastasha would have just made so much sense for this patch. Through the Maelstrom, the Sahagin being such a, a prime theme, I felt like revisiting that place would have been more thematically interesting than going to Halatali. Brayflox I expected, that was actually the one I predicted. But for me, the answer is Sastasha.
So we'll take a peek here first at Halatali. Let me get Amdapur out of here and take a peek at Halatali. Looks quite a bit different. Looks like somebody's been in there with a mop, maybe polished the walls a little bit, cleaned up the blood on the floor. Looking quite a bit different, huh, guys?
Little bit, yeah. I mean, I hope so. It's hard mode. Got to be different. Don't just throw some trash in the way.
Not much in the tease on this one, but it does mention the dungeon's newly restored order. So somebody's come in, somebody's taken over, somebody's cleaned up, made it look like a fortress again instead of rotting ruins. Any guesses? Who took over?
I don't have any at the moment. I'm not that deep into the lore. I just love the dungeon.
I have one guess.
Just put whatever you want there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever.
I just like the story.
Whatever. I have a guess, but I think we should move over to Brayflox if we want to talk about what my guess is.
Okay, so you're going to tie it in with what I have coming up for that one, which kind of surprised me when I read this. I was like, oh, really? Really?
I think it surprised everybody.
Yeah, just a bit. So, all right, then we'll take a step back from Halatali for a minute. Love the concept. Love that it looks clean and somebody's taken over. Let's see who. On the other hand, we have Brayflox's long stop, which I'll pull up here for you guys. Now, in the photo here, it looks like it's pretty much the original layout. I mean, this is the bulk back half portion as you're heading into the end of the instance. Right. But there just seems to be a bunch of crap lying around. Now, here's my question first. When we predicted these two instances in particular, you and I predicted it based on the fact that there's a lot of space in these instances that you can't get to. Some of them you can see. If you angle your camera right and look through a gate or whatever, you can see these new areas that you can't get to. So we based our assumption that these were going to be the new ones off of the fact that there's already land in there we can't get to. The screenshots here, though, this is a big portion of the instance where they just changed the path of the instance by putting a bunch of shit in your path and forcing you to go different ways. I kind of didn't expect this one.
It makes sense to me thematically. There were houses there, and now they're destroyed.
and now it's rubble.
Yeah, and they got destroyed. So I'm not really too disappointed. That part of the dungeon by itself is, since it's the only part we really saw, it makes sense based on the background that they gave us. But I would like to see less crap lying around in the rest of it. But since it's Brayflox
and more oddball paths, right? More paths that we couldn't take before. And that was what was nice with Hawk Manor, Viper. That was nice about Hawk Manor is that, thematically it looked still like a haunted house, right? But it was a totally different path through a lot of it. And that was a huge sell for me on that being a hard mode. And I think Brayflox has to do the same thing. There were just too many nooks and crannies you could see into, right?
I thought it was really refreshing what they did with Hawk Manor. That's one of my favorite dungeons now. I run it all the time.
You are a glutton for punishment. But it's an easy way to change the path, right? Let's make it look different. Throw a bunch of shit in their way. So here's the weird mention on the preview that we were alluding to earlier. It mentions the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Really?
Illuminati. Yes.
The Illuminati.
Absolutely.
The Illuminati have
get
moved
taken down because we brought them up.
Yep, because we're mentioning them. If we go dark right now, you know what happened, gang. Well, actually, we probably won't go dark because then people will know what happened. I don't know. It gets confusing.
No, not till after the show.
It gets confusing when you start going down that path. So
now
apparently,
if we get a big NSA blocker, then you know what happened.
Right. So apparently, Goblin Scholars are now part of the Illuminati.
Yeah, well.
All right, tie it together, Happy.
Works.
I know you got some ridiculous harebrained scheme. Tie it all together.
It's the Illuminati are behind Halatali also. They got some big plan for everyone, and they need a fortress. Halatali. It's the same reason they took over Brayflox. The only difference, it looks like they took all the crap they broke in Brayflox and used it to fix up Halatali.
They're like, we need some new bricks. Go fuck up Brayflox for a little bit. Bring back some wooden bricks.
There's my tie. There's my tie right there.
There's your tie-in. Do you think we actually... That's an interesting question, though. With Hawk Manor and with Copperbell Mines, we both saw new stories that were related to the original stories in the original regular versions, with Copperbell's final boss being the father of the regular boss and things like that. Do you think we could start seeing stories where instances are tied together like that, where one thing happening in one place is now conjoined with another instance instead of every instance kind of being its own set of lore?
If they think it out. And
Yeah.
it's planned well, it's not just thrown together at the last minute. Yeah, I think you can do a really good job of bringing the different dungeons together in a really meaningful way.
Stuff like that is like the stuff I eat up, because then it starts making it feel like a world instead of 10 different little storylines going on. I love stuff like this.
That's the kind of stuff that makes you not just fast forward through a quest line and actually read the words in the quest.
Which is always
I'm
good.
one of the few people who does.
What, reads quest text?
I gotta know the lore, and I learned during the Odin quest. If you don't read, because most people don't even know it's out there. There's a quest that explains who Odin is and what he's doing, or what they think he's doing, or everything. And if you don't read the quest text, you're not gonna get a cutscene to explain it to you. So, if you want to know about lore, read your quest text.
Requirements for the hard modes, same as the new dungeon, the Lost City of Amandapur. But again, this has got to be a lot harder than iLevel 55. I mean, putting in iLevel 55 stuff right now just ain't going to cut it, right? This is just the key to the door.
Yes.
No, I can imagine you'll probably want as much dark light as possible going into these places.
Maybe a piece of myth or two wouldn't hurt.
Probably have it by then.
For some of you bards that are lesser skilled. I didn't mean you guys. You guys are skilled bards.
Right.
You guys are really... You
ain't talking to me.
You guys are
coming from
top-tier
a
bards.
Squishy black mage attempt to explode at random intervals throughout all of our raiding nights.
Oh, no, hey. All I did was I said, you know what? Maybe we should try a different strategy on turn 5 and have the black mage pool.
And the strategy was your face.
Yeah, the strategy didn't last for long, though. It didn't last for long. I was quickly destroyed.
Is that in response to the 3 little ones deciding they want to go wherever the hell they want to go, and not to the person who ran up first?
Well, no, that was actually in response to there was a bunch of jibber jabber going on Mumble, and I just wanted to see the fight some more. So I yelled "Black Mage Pool" and ran in because I was wearing a tie, so I thought I was protected.
So you Leroy'd it.
Yeah, I Leroy'd it.
And proceeded to sit on somebody who was still dead.
Of course, if you die, you're getting teabagged, especially if you're the cause for the wipe. In our raid group, it's cutthroat, man.
I approve.
Viper, you know how it is. It's as soon as somebody dies, you're like, please call it. Dawn, come on, say wipe it.
Yep.
Yes, free for all, teabagging. It's a
pretty much
great time. So good luck on T5 to us.
Mini Hill Knights, as I like to refer to them as.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time. Before we move on to the new dungeons in the hard mode, if you're watching the show, obviously thank you, we appreciate it. We can't do the show without you, but I did want to bring to your attention, there is something you should probably check out on the GameBreaker.tv homepage. Check it out. We right now are in partnership with Square Enix, giving away a copy of Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, signed by producer-director Yoshi P. So it's got his lovely signature on it. You can enter multiple times per day. Check it out right on the homepage, gamebreaker.tv. Enter. You only have, I think it's like a day and a half left. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you watched it on the first day that it's posted. If you're sitting in chat right now in another window, pull up Gamebreaker TV. Go enter. Thank you so much to Square Enix for partnering with us for this giveaway. If you win, we will obviously need your address because Square Enix will be shipping it to you. It's a PC copy of the game, the collector's edition PC version of the game, and it's limited to North America only because that's the region on the software. So our European friends, apologies. The copy we got was the North American region, so we got to stick with that. Good luck to you. We hope you win. Check it out, check it out, check it out. Feel free to share. And again, thank you to Square Enix for helping us with that. For those of you that don't win, if you'd still like to take advantage and get a great game at a great price, right now we've got a 20% offer for you on Titanfall. Just came out last night, midnight, so this morning, midnight, I don't know, whatever, however it works in your time zone. You can save 20% off the digital versions of Titanfall. Head on over to offergb.com/Titanfall. Prior to the show today, I got to finish my tutorial stuff, so I'll be playing that tonight. Won't give my opinion on what I think of the game. You guys know I'm generally a fan of it, but we'll talk more as I get into it more. So if you want to take advantage of that, you don't win the signed copy of 14, that's okay. We still got great things over there for you. Offergb.com/Titanfall. Get yourself 20% off of that. And now we get to the meat and the potatoes. Oh, yeah.
I like meat and potatoes. I didn't eat dinner. Now I'm hungry.
So this week has pretty much been a full week of photo speculation. I referred to it before the show. I referred to it as a busy, slow news week. And by that I mean Square Enix didn't drop all that much. It was just a few tidbits here, a preview for the side story, a preview for the dungeons, and a couple screenshots on some other websites and things like that. But all in all, the PR department really didn't have a lot to do this week. We, on the other hand... What's that?
A lot of things that make you go,
Yeah, we, on the other hand, fans and players, got a hold of this stuff, and it's consumed our entire week. So Game Watch in particular, and we'll have the link in the description for this show on XIV Nation if you're missing it. Game Watch dropped some info and some screenshots about 2.2, and in it, they teased a new race. And here we go. And here we go. Before we even really get into it, though, what the new race possibly is, of course, everyone wants to know if it'll be playable, right? That's like the number one question. Will this be playable? Come on, guys. No.
No. Absolutely not.
No.
Not even a little bit. Not even a mini game.
No. The answer is no. When do you think's like the first time? Is it expansion?
Yeah.
That we'll see any new race, whether it's this one or not, but any new race, is it expansion time?
Absolutely, because you're going to bring in a new continent, a new area, new quest chains.
Presumably a new job.
Hopefully a new job.
Presumably.
This is a nice way to introduce races, though, is bring them in as part of the lore and the NPC. Let's break it down. Happy, you actually speculated before that a job could come before an expansion on a previous show. And we kind of put that to bed last week and the week before, where we kind of said, okay, no, it's going to be an expansion. You don't think a race could ever possibly come before the expansion?
To me, a race almost makes more sense. I don't think it could. But the main reason why a job was hard to introduce is for balancing issues, the game content being balanced around the introduction of a new job. But races have such minuscule differences. They're really more about the aesthetic in this case. A race would be more believable if they gave us access to it in the story. The only problem I have with that is you can't just make them playable right from the get-go at Ul'dah. I feel like you really need them to have their own sort of starting region when you introduce a new race to explain the transfer, because it's not going to make sense if they put it in, 2.3, like they put in a new race, and then you start from level 1, and then you get to the point in the main story where your race is introduced into the game. That just doesn't make sense. If this story is supposed to be eventually setting up for this race becoming available in Eorzea, that just wouldn't make sense at all. It would really it has to come from an expansion.
So way back when the game was in beta, there was a survey that you may or may not remember. And it was, which race do fans want to see added to the game? There was a subsequent April Fool's joke after that survey where the top two results were meshed into one very ugly race.
Was that the Bang Vieira or something like
right,
that?
now the Vieira was the
Vanga?
runaway fan favorite to add. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
Right.
So I'm going to pull up the picture here for the viewers. Viper, you tell me, is this a Vieira?
No.
You don't think so?
The ears don't really say rabbit.
Because that's where a lot of the internet is. It's got to be Vieira. We voted on Vieira. The Yoshi P likes doing what we said and what we want to do, and here we go. It's got to be Vieira.
Nah, I'm not feeling it.
Nope.
I
Mr.
think
Happy?
it's
The only way that's a Vieira, and some people have been sending me pictures all week of different class garbs for Vieiras that make their ears are sort of leaned back a little bit
Yeah,
more.
for those of you that
sort of
don't know
explain.
what Mr. Happy's talking about real quick here, this is a Vieira from Final Fantasy XII.
Yes. The world of Ivalice.
aesthetically pleasing, to say the least.
This is the new race. This is a Vieira. New race, Vieira.
I'm just gonna say.
Pay no attention to Gilgamesh in the background. We'll be talking about him later.
Height's a big thing, although somebody did point out that all the Vieiras in 12 and in the world of Ivalice always seem to be wearing high heels.
Yeah,
They just always way taller than they need to be.
yeah, and
So-
not just
heels.
high heels. They're like stripper heels. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
ridiculous. Now the ear, I kind of agree with you, Viper. The ears don't seem quite right, do they? I mean, and if you think about the rest of the physics on the other character models, the clothing doesn't have that big an impact on. It wouldn't depress the ears to that point. It doesn't do it on any other
horns.
character.
It looks like
models.
it's shaped to the ears.
Yeah.
Is what I
Yeah,
thought. That's
maybe
what it
like
looked
it's
to me.
something more solid, like a horn.
Yeah, I thought a horn at first when I first saw it.
You heard it here first. Viper thinks it's lizard people.
Gria. He thinks it's Gria.
So what do we know then? Well, we know the new race comes from Doma and needs a little help from Eorzea and its citizens. Now, Doma throws us back to Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy II, if you go by the U.S. numbers. But that really doesn't give us any hints either, does it?
How dare you not reference it to Final Fantasy VI?
Oh, shit!
dare
I'm sorry, I got the wrong number in my show notes. Oh, my God. Let me hold on.
Final Fantasy 3 in North America.
3 in North America, 6 and 3. I apologize. I wrote my notes too fast. But that still really doesn't give us any hints. Hold on, let me just pick up that credibility.
And what, throw it out the window?
Yeah, I dumb mistake on my part. Sorry, I was writing show notes at midnight. It seems like Yoshi P at this point may just be saying, yeah, screw it with all the lore, right? I mean, this just seems like let's pull references from all these Final Fantasies, and it really doesn't matter if it makes any sense at this point. If Lightning can interdimensionally travel into Eorzea and Shantoto's able to come here too, I suppose all bets are off on the lore, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you were going to go that far, you might as well just go, blame Costa del Sol for that. That's Final Fantasy VII right there.
Right.
So Doma, as a naming convention, is without a doubt a throwback to Final Fantasy VI. There's no reason to think it's that.
It's the same Doma, right?
It's the same Doma. I mean, it's not the first time they've reused the name. I think going right from Final Fantasy 2 to 4, there's towns that are completely renamed, and even some of them have damn near the same layout. So I don't think it's any sort of tossing out of the lore.
I don't know. Why use it then?
Because people will recognize it. People who are long-time Final Fantasy fans will be like, "Oh, that's Doma." People will. It's the same. Basically, expect everything.
See,
up
I
till
hate this
3.0.
idea, though. I hate this idea of simply using names and names of locations and names of other things simply because it's a throwback. To me, it kind of causes a little more confusion with Final Fantasy fans, where is this the same Doma? Okay, let me do a little research. Okay, no, it's not the same Doma. Well, then
It's
why
almost,
did you just frickin' call it Doma? Call it something else. I appreciate the nods to Final Fantasy fans in various ways. I just think naming conventions probably shouldn't be one of those nods.
I think it's a misuse of your own assets in a way if you do something where you're confusing the player with two different places on purpose.
Yeah, because there is that initial Doma, I know that. Is it the same Doma? Now let me go look it up, and maybe that's what they want you to do, spend more time on Final Fantasy websites looking shit up. But to me, I don't know. It's kind of a, I don't know. So we've got nothing out of the shape of the model or the home of the model, huh? Still no real hints.
Nope.
How about the costume? Let's pull the image up again. Seems like a lot of cultural detail going on here. We've got trimming on the hood. We've got some type of face mask or eye garb there. We've got a very detailed necklace, very distinctive belt and satchel at the bottom. Looks like some detailing on the sides. This could totally just be a costume, right? The person just happens to wear this. But this is a lot of detail. Does this help us at all? Does this maybe tease anything?
Maybe it's a new crafting class.
Oh, God.
Because everyone's going to be clamoring to play that right now, right? I've looked that picture over so many times, and I look at the work that went into some of the other characters, like Alphanaud and his sister, and I think it's more or less just character garb. But it also screams about 4 or 5 different jobs to me at the same time.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second, because it does to me too. It definitely. As soon as I saw it, I thought of 2 right off the bat. And I know which 2. We'll get to that in a second, because I think Viper kind of disagrees with you. I think, Viper, you're not thinking that this is just costuming. This is a little more indicative of a particular race.
It, to me, is clearly purposed in order to bring something new into the lore and in the main storyline, something they can use to segue to a new class job, some kind of new experience besides just a placeholder because this is what we wanted this person to look like.
So that's no help. So we're no better off than when we started talking about this 15 minutes ago.
When are we ever?
Right. It's just all photo speculation this week. But I kind of agree with you, Happy, that this definitely, to me, it teases a new job. I tend to believe that this is probably more job-specific gear than race-specific gear. Now, what job could it be? To me, instantly, right off the top, the number one was it screamed kind of a Blue Mage feel to me. I mean, this felt very Treasures.
Proud of you.
This felt very Treasures when Ottergon came out, and it just had that kind of like Mid-Eastern desert Bedouin feel to it, and a Blue Mage. So that's the number one kind of feel I get from it. I don't know if Blue Mage would ever work in 14, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. What are you thinking, guys?
I felt different. I looked at it and thought, ninja?
Yeah, and that was my number 2. It was ninja. And I put Blue Mage just barely ahead of it because it's cloth and it has the cowl. So I put the Blue Mage job just slightly ahead of it on my meter.
Either way, it looks cool.
You guys clearly don't know about the evolution of Puppet Master, because...
Well, and that was another thing, though. Yeah, that was another thing that, again, going back to Treasures, and it had that feel to it, and Puppet Master was distinctly, has that kind of, not only just the style, but the colors initially in Final Fantasy XI were purple and gold, and blue and gold. So it even color scheme-wise fit that,
Whatever you say color-wise, I'll believe you.
I did have a question for you guys,
I guess you'll have to take my word for it.
I'll take your word for it.
Go ahead, Viper.
I had a question. Do you guys think they'll introduce multiple jobs at one go?
Yes.
And that could be one of the jobs right now. So we're looking at, Musketeer, Ninja, Mage of some form. I think there's a possibility there.
Is it a foregone conclusion, since we're talking about it, that Musketeer is going to be one of the first?
Yeah, foregone conclusion by far.
I think so.
Yeah, I just, why not? It's been there for 3.5 years now. Do something with it.
All right, so we can't tell the race. We can't tell the job. It's very cool. I don't think it's Vieira. I think it's something more Horde-based. I agree with you guys. But, okay, so now take that all off the table. This picture disappears. It goes away. Speculation time. Do a little theory crafting. Not a little theory crafting. A little guessing here. A little opinion-based. I'm going to ask you guys, forget about lore requirements. Forget about interdimensional travel. I mean, all the rules are off the table. Tomorrow, Yoshi P calls you up and says, Mr. Happy, we're going to add one race to the game. That race is going to be the next word out of your mouth. Whatever you say, that's the race. What race are you adding, Happy?
Surprise me. I want it to be something completely original we haven't seen in another Final Fantasy game. I mean, look at it. Final Fantasy XIV originally was designed, the 5 races were designed to be recognizable from Final Fantasy XI. That was the design idea behind it.
Oh, yeah.
And the one thing they couldn't fix with Bahamut destroying everything was the races. They couldn't just be like, oh, well, he hit one of them in the face, and now he's got kind of a mole over there. No, they couldn't do that. So they could either bring in something that's also from another Final Fantasy game, which, you know, even going back to Doma and Costa del Sol, they like doing that. We can already see that's, you know, the traditional Final Fantasy fanboy thing to do is to just take stuff from old Final Fantasies and throw it in there. I would like to see something completely original that we've not seen in another Final Fantasy. It's something distinct to Final Fantasy XIV and its world.
What? The biggest cop-out answer in the world was that. Like, what race would you like to see? Create something new. All right, you son of...
Surprise me.
Surprise me.
Okay, I have a better answer.
Do you need anything from the store? Yeah, surprise me. Go ahead, Viper.
I think they need to introduce an aquatic race. Something like sharks or dolphins, mermaid. Maybe not mermaid, because that's too...
Dude, come on. You would not roll mermaid.
I would absolutely roll a mermaid.
I would totally roll mermaid.
You thought Makotes were overplayed. Just wait till you see the mermaid race.
Oh my god. I'm going to actually
we
answer
can't even
the question.
swim in the game yet.
No, not yet. We can't swim. Let's introduce an aquatic race. You're stuck under the water for a little while. We'll see you in 3.0. 4.0 at that point. I would like to see something a bit different than... Because everything kind of right now has a very human feel to it to me. Even the Makote, very, very human, with the exception of the ears and the tail. The Rogadin, big, bulky,
more human than they used to
colored
be in
human.
Final Fantasy XI.
Yeah, more human than the Galka used to be. So everything has a very human appearance. And I'm okay with humanoid, that's fine, but these all resemble humans. So what I would like to see is maybe like... maybe something like Banga, right? Final Fantasy XII.
I would like Banga.
What's that?
Yeah. I would like Bangas. Bangas don't get enough love.
Yeah, I would like to see something more like Beast Tribe friendly, rather than the constantly spinning out humanoids and more humans and more humans and more humans and humans with cat ears and humans with a tail and really big humans with the really pale, funny colored skin. I would like to see something like maybe a Banga where it's distinctly not a human or a variation of a human besides the body structure being 2 arms and 2 legs.
A pig race.
Yeah, anything. And I think
Minecraft?
I wouldn't be surprised if I would love if the new race that we're seeing in this picture here, I would love if it's a brand new Final Fantasy XIV race. I think that's the best thing they could do for the game. Make it a lizard people with horns. I don't care. I think that's one of the best things they could do for the game, especially when it becomes playable. Because right now, to me, I like my choices as far as character creation, but everything's got that basically human feel to it. So I'd like to see more Beast Tribe stuff like that. Banga would be
Rogan is the ugly stepchild of that design.
Right. Banga would be my #1. Last note here. Some people on the forums are saying that the character is actually a blue mage. That they've just got it narrowed down, and they called Uncle Yoshi P. I don't know how they got the information. But they are absolutely convinced that this is a blue mage. I personally don't see blue mage working in 14, A Realm Reborn, the way it's structured right now. Unless there were huge changes in some of the control systems. Am I alone there? I just don't see blue mage working. Not the way, at least I should rephrase. Not the way that we know a blue mage to work now from Final Fantasy XI. It's not going to work that way. I think if we saw a blue mage, it would be very, very different than what we've seen in the past. Yes?
Yeah, I don't know how they would do it.
Viper?
I mean, what are you going to give them? The ability to steal boss mechanics? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would fit.
God, that'd be cool. They're not going to do it, but damn, that'd be cool.
Imagine dive bombing Twintania back.
Just walk around. I have a con
Deserves
flag. I have a con flag right here. Bam! Smack.
See, I got. Don't worry, I'll see the ads. I'll con flag it.
Yeah, I'll con flag everything. All right, last up on today's show is Gilgamesh. Of course, I saved it for last for Mr. Happy. But before we do that, got to give a nod out to our sponsors, and that's audible.com. If you're looking for a great audio service to read books, Audible is where you need to go. It's audible.com/gamebreaker. You're going to get 30 free days, and you're going to get a free book. Now, I've pulled up Stephen King here because I happen to be reading at this moment 11/22/63. If you want 30 hours of reading goodness, here's a book for you. Great book so far. I'm about halfway through it. Check out our sponsors. A lot of people have been asking lately with the donation services that we've got going on, trying to fundraise for Gamebreaker TV. A lot of people have been saying, hey, I can't donate, but how can I help Gamebreaker in some other way? The way you can help Gamebreaker is by supporting our sponsors. Audible.com/Gamebreaker is one of our favorite sponsors for the show. Let's take a little listen to Stephen King's book, 11/22/63.
Graduated with flying colors. I went to the little GET ceremony in the LHS gym at his invitation. He really had no one else, and I was happy to do it. After the benediction, spoken by Father Bandy, who rarely missed an LHS function, I made my way through the milling friends and relatives to where Harry was standing alone in his billowy black gown.
Great service, also a great book that I'm finishing up here. This particular book doesn't have it, but Audible also has a feature called Whisper Sync that allows you, if you have the book in your Audible library and on your Kindle, you can actually read on your Kindle, have Audible pick up reading to you at any given point. So if you've got to get dinner ready, you can still keep listening to your book, and then pick it up, shut Whisper Sync off, and resume reading where Whisper Sync left off. Great service. Check it out. Audible.com/Gamebreaker. Head on over to that URL. You're going to get a free 30 days and your choice of a free audio book. Support Gamebreaker by supporting our sponsors. Great service. Love it, love it, love it. Last up on today's show, as somebody cleans their microphone and I bring back the hosts here, if it's just speculation, more speculation, because that's all it is more photos. But right now, maybe Gilgamesh won't be a disappointment. Now, we talked about this last week. I speculated that as much as I didn't want it to be, I thought Gilgamesh was probably going to be fate-related, as much as I didn't want it to be. Happy, you speculated that it could possibly be a series of events with a light party leading up to a big party. So last week, we tossed this up in the air. What's going to happen with your boy Hildebrand, or Happy Brand? He's your uncle, cousin? I don't know. You guys are definitely related. Would it be
Closely?
Closely. You guys are boys.
Not half removed or something.
We speculated, but we didn't have a definitive answer then. Good news, we still don't have a definitive answer yet. But let's take a look at yet another picture. This one of our boy Gilgamesh. And let's speculate a little bit, because from this picture, it looks like you may be right, Mr. Happy. Take us through it.
Well, don't have the picture handy with me right now.
It's the four-person fight with the green chicken in the forefront.
Now, see, that's what I'm trying to see if there's more than 4 people. It looks like there's 5 people in this picture to me, first of all.
One.
I see a paladin, dragoon, white mage, black mage, and a warrior just hanging out in the back for some reason.
Yeah.
And it almost looks like the side of the bridge may have somebody in dark light back. It's either the side of the bridge or something. I can't tell. But I actually think this is just an 8-person fight. Now, unfortunately, with the odd number of people, it could still be a fate. Because if it was 8 people, I feel like they'd show us 8 people in the picture. They always have in the past. They've always showed if it's 4 people, or if it's 8 people. You can usually almost always see everybody. But this looks like a instance boss fight. Just even the atmosphere around him, and the way that there's not 20 people just running on him and hitting provoke with chocobos next to him. There's definitely no semblances of a fate. So
Well,
hopeful
to say that, yeah, and I mean, obviously we can't confirm it from this shot because, of course, this is on their own internal servers and stuff that they took the shot from, so it certainly could be a fate. There just happened to be only half a dozen testers posing for the picture. What do you think, Viper? Fate, 8-man event, light party event? And believe me, I said last week, I hope I was wrong about it being a fate.
I think it's going to be a 4-man event, light party, but I want it to be an 8-man, and I don't think it's going to be that.
I am so glad that it looks like it's not a fate. I could not be happier to be wrong if I'm wrong on that, and it is an actual party event. So, what are you thinking, Mr. Happy? Is this still multiple phases leading up to an 8-man encounter? Like 1 or 2 different events? Or is this just quest, fight?
I think for this specific patch, it's quest, fight. I don't think this is the last time we'll fight Gilgamesh. Namely because
it never is. It never is. It's never the last time you fight him.
Second of all, because we've seen the original images of Gilgamesh, and he has 8 arms. Now, unless he just breaks the other 6 of them out in the middle of the fight, in the middle of this fight, which is entirely possible, that you'll get him maybe down to 50%, and he'll like jump away and do a super AoE attack and break out the other 6 arms. It's entirely possible. I think this is just the first encounter with him, and I also don't expect it to be that hard.
Oh, that's kind of
It looks like it'll be fun, though, even if it's not
fun. Absolutely. I probably will do it once, be like, that was great, and I'm going to go do Leviathan now and never come do this again.
We're definitely using Big Battle, Big Bridge theme, right? The battle theme. We have to be. Have to be.
Some sort of variation of it they may go with, but I think they might even give it an homage to the original.
Yeah, it's got to be. Got to be. So you're saying just one fight in this patch update. Viper, what do you think?
I think we're going to see, probably just one fight at the moment, and then they'll kind of cater to us who like it and bring it back again and again.
Wandering Minstrel.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? We talked about that before. The Wandering Minstrel gives them the ability to just throw anything in at this point, and it doesn't have to impact the lore. WildStar's doing that same type of thing with their adventures. You know, they can put in whatever the hell they want now without it impacting their lore because they could just say, oh, it's a simulated adventure. Final Fantasy's doing the same thing with the Wandering Minstrel. Oh, he's just telling this ridiculously out of proportion hyperbole tale. By the way, go face Extreme Hard Mode Ultimate, Titan.
Sounds like a Capcom game.
It's a really good cop-out, though, to not have
it
to
definitely
put a whole
is.
Prereq into something and let the players get to it immediately.
All right, so here's the question then. Duty Finder?
No.
Or are we thinking this is going to be more along the lines of Chimera and Hydra pre-2.2, where you actually had to go to the location and somebody had to be on the quest to go do it? I don't think it's Duty Finder.
I do.
You do?
I wish they would learn their lesson from the get-go, but I don't think they are.
See, to me, I'll tell you why I don't think this one's Duty Finder. I think that they want the quest to play out similar to the way Big Battle, Big Bridge went, and want you to go and visit the location of the fight. Not just queue up, you're there, fight it, and leave. So I don't think, and at least initially, maybe between 2.3 and 2.4, or 2.2 and 2.3, at least initially, I don't see this one as Duty Finder, and then I do see maybe them switching it to Duty Finder like they're doing with Hydra and Chimera in 2.2, doing the same thing with the Gilgamesh fight in 2.3. I think initially, it's not a Duty Finder thing. You think it is, Happy. What's up?
I just think that there are some servers that have less people right now, and they already have trouble getting groups for certain things, especially if this is not going to be something people are in high demand for. If this isn't something that's like crazy, like, oh yeah, you're going to want to do this over and over again to get certain drops, to get vanity items, then I can imagine they're going to want to give people the access to it. I mean, those servers that especially just those servers that they made just because they didn't have enough servers at launch. I've spoken about those so many times. Those either need to get merged with the other servers now that things have calmed down, or I don't know, man. I just think that that's a big influence on the Duty Finder. Coil groups in those servers already struggle as it is to find players. So I don't know. Gilgamesh to me just doesn't scream. Yeah, no, go visit it. We know that the only 30 people are on your server because we made it like for you 30 people who couldn't make characters on other servers. You guys can figure it out.
Such a pessimist. Viper, Duty Finder or not?
No.
I agree. I agree. What's with this green chicken? Did one of you just meow?
Wasn't me.
My kid just came into the room, sorry.
License and registration, right meow, please.
The kitten heard chicken. Chicken? I'm hungry.
License
Green
and registration,
chicken.
right meow.
No.
Did I say meow? Do I look like a cat to you? Am I jumping around all nimbly-bimbly from tree to tree? Anyway, what's with the green chicken? Happy, I watched your video. You had a little bit of speculation, which, God, I hope isn't true. What? And I think you do, too. I think you're hoping that this
I don't want it to be true either.
What's up?
Enkidu, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you've been reduced to a green chicken. Enkidu, I'm so sorry. Enkidu's taken on some odd forms in some of the other games, but I don't think he's ever taken the form of a green chicken. Especially considering Gilgamesh and Enkidu are supposed to be brothers.
I was hoping it's something much simpler than that, like allowing minions inside of events and dungeons and stuff.
Those other screenshots made me believe otherwise, because they put every screenshot that has Gilgamesh in it has a green chicken in it too.
Yeah, it's got a green chicken in it. So it seems like today was all about photo speculation. That's like the entire show. Hey, kudos to the Square Enix PR team, right? They have us all guessing and talking about it, but they didn't have to drop very much information at all. They were like, just give them some pictures. You know what? Put a green chicken in all the Gilgamesh ones. Why? Because we can. Just
I'm gonna laugh if that green chicken has nothing to do. Like it's not even in the game.
Yeah, it's just nothing. It's just a green
it's
chicken.
photoshopped in.
I like how the preview for the side story preview, it says, who is this fighter that's come to this world? As if the Final Fantasy world didn't know by the end of the Hildebrand quest in 2.1, hey, everybody was like, those are Gilgamesh's pants. Now we have pictures and they still put,
pants,
who in the world is this fighter? Come on. Fun stuff. I know you're excited, Mr. Happy, with your more Hildebrand stuff.
I'm always excited. Come on.
All right, let's do some viewer questions before we call it a night. So, Tarmus Riker says, what do each of you think is the easiest of the 3 jobs to play from a dungeon party standpoint? White Mage, Summoner, or Scholar?
Scholar. Listen, if you haven't seen it yet, Scholar soloed three of the hard mode dungeons in the game.
Yeah, it's
That's
definitely
because
Scholar.
Their pet can heal for you once you have enough gear, and you can either go ahead, you can put the main tank on follow, and just let your fairy do everything. By far the easiest.
I don't even know if that's even debatable. If you played all 3, you wouldn't even ask that question. White Mage, you have to put some work in. You can't be lazy. Summoner, you still got to put your dots up. Scholar, you don't have to do jack.
Just auto, and it's even funnier when if you're a scholar and you get placed into like Sastasha on your runs, you still have the fairy even though you're technically below level 30. So your fairy, you can literally just auto follow a DPS and let your fairy do everything.
I'm guilty. I've done it. At least
I've done it. I did it on live stream. Let's see if I can do this, and it worked.
Did it last night on CT, healed the whole raid.
To me, there's no question. It's Scholar. And I have, my White Mage is like 45. It's almost 50. Everything else in the question is 50. It's definitely Scholar. 10 Code Riot asks, do you think they'll ever tweak chocobos? Currently, they're pointless and take ages to level for no reward. Well, you do get Chocobo barding. I guess that's a reward.
And the suit.
And you get the suit now, regardless of how you spend the points. So I guess there are rewards for it. I think we mentioned this before, that I don't see them tweaking it. I see them giving you the opportunity to have more Chocobos. In the long term, maybe being like involved in the Chocobo breeding and Chocobo racing when Gold Saucer and all that stuff comes. I don't see them being tweaked anytime soon, but maybe given the ability to have more than one.
I think that we've had a lot of discussion in the free company at GBN about this because we want to do Chocobo leveling events, but they're slow. You don't feel like you have a point in doing them. I think they're going to lower the XP required for each level of Chocobo at some point, just so you can do it faster, but still do the grind.
Boy, that would piss a bunch of people off, wouldn't it?
That's why mine's staying at level 6.
Because do you anticipate an experience nerf on that one too?
What? It's just, there's no other reason to do it. Do you want a vanity chocobo suit that will probably not be included in the glamour system? Okay.
Right.
Do you want a barding that nobody will see because you're probably going to be using that nifty new
Such a pessimist.
bomb chariot love seat?
That looked pretty badass though. I like that mount. Great picture. If you haven't checked it out, most recent dev blog has the bomb mount. 29 Marine. Now, 29 Marine asked this a while ago, but I've been saving the question because I wanted the game to grow and then make a long-term opinion here. So 29 Marine wants to know, what's your honest opinion on this game? I'm considering it, but have never heard much about Final Fantasy MMOs.
It's probably for the better, because if you saw Final Fantasy XI and you've never played an MMO before, you might not have had the best impression of 14, depending on your how tinted your rose-tinted glasses are. But I think it's overall good MMO experience. I think that's hard to argue. The biggest thing is to remember, it's still growing, it's still new. It might not have some of the things that long-standing MMOs have, even some of the older ones like Final Fantasy XI and EverQuest, and even Ultima still does updates from what I hear on private servers and things like that. So long-standing MMOs may have more stuff to do in your board, but in terms of general content and gameplay experience, it's good.
Mr. Viper?
So for this question, I'm taking my glasses off.
That's good. That means it's going to be good.
All right, so I initially was not interested in this game at all. Like, it wasn't even on my radar. My friends were talking about everything else that was coming out. And I just happened to get access to the beta right before it was over. And I was like, hey, this game's kind of good. Let me check it out. So I paid for the sub, got into it, and I fell in love with it. It was the sleeper hit of 2013 for me. I wasn't expecting it to come. And now that I'm in it, I'm part of a great community with the Game Breaker Nation and some of my real-life friends I brought into the nation with me. It's an amazing experience. But you gotta have friends to play with, or it's a completely different game.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of echo some of those sentiments. Obviously, I host an XIV show, so I'm a fan of the game. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I enjoy the game an awful lot, not only because it's a Final Fantasy skin, which I like, but like Viper said, I've got a ton of good friends with Game Breaker Nation to play the game with. If I'm objectively going to take a step back and look at it as a whole compared to other MMOs, yeah, there's some items that are still missing. Some quality of life or convenience items. Content is always being expanded, obviously, and it is a new game. To me, if you're objectively looking at it, it's probably an average MMO. To me, it's not going to score a 10 out of 10. My score will be naturally higher than most because I like the environment and the whole Final Fantasy skin, and I'm a fanboy. I readily admit it. But objectively looking at it, it's probably an average MMO. It follows a lot of what games like World of Warcraft and more established MMOs do as far as gear progression and things like that. The PvP system leaves a lot to be desired if you're into PvP. So I would say objectively, it's average. Will you have a fun time doing it? Yeah, if you liked World of Warcraft, particularly an expansion ago or two ago when the content was a little more on the lesser side, now there's just so much to do if you're leveling brand new in WoW that Final Fantasy can't compare content-wise yet. But if you enjoy that type of hot bar theme park MMO, it's hard to go wrong with Final Fantasy. But if you're looking for something new, innovative, pushing the MMO boundaries a little bit, it ain't the game for you, son. It's just that simple. It ain't the game for you. Last question from, I'm going to butcher this, but it's from Brandon.
Just call him Chosky.
What is it?
Call him Chosky. That's what I call him. I know who that is.
Brandon Zachowski is speculating. Do you guys think an ability like Aetherflow will ever come to the White Mage? With only refresh from Shroud, they're very, very reliant on bards.
No. Well, I guess I sort of misunderstood the question when you first said it. An ability like Aetherflow. Not saying the whole Aetherflow with the mechanics. He just means an ability to get your MP back.
Yes.
Basically. He's not looking at it as the whole picture. He's talking about more the MP.
Yeah, pointing out refresh, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see the refresh and the enmity aspects of Shroud of Saints separated. I don't like that they're on the same button, that they're part of the same skill. I'd much rather have that refresh on its own button and give Shroud of Saints its own, just the enmity effect. And having said that, yes, I can imagine at some point scholars scale their MP, the way their MP scales with gear is just unfathomable. How little you can use once you have enough gear and you know a fight. Whereas a white mage is still pretty much going to be popping Shroud every single fight, no matter how much piety they have.
Yeah, and you can notice that right away. I mean, playing my scholar, it's like, do you want me to play Ballad? If you want to, I don't care. Go ahead. And then white mage, you're like, Ballad. It's
so I actually
totally different.
I think I'm in a unique position where I get to play this from all three perspectives. I have a white mage at 50, I have a scholar at 50, and I'm a bard at 50. And I've been the person that's been yelled at for not giving mana slog repeatedly. I think they're going to get a shorter cooldown on Soul Shroud or better mana regen from it instead of just bringing in a whole new skill. But yeah, I think it needs to be a little bit better than it is right now, if not overpowered though, because they're really the only class that's determining when the bard's playing Mage Song, right?
Yup. That's Mr. Corey Hernandez. You can follow him on the Twitters. That's at Dark Jedi Master. Dark is D-R-K, no A. So D-R-K Jedi Master. Thank you for joining us this week, sir. Awesome representation from Game Break On Nation. Mr. Happy Michael Poveromo in his aviators. You can follow him on the Twitters at Mr. Happy1227. Mr. Happy1227. Check out all of his stuff on YouTube, on Twitch. The dude's always streaming, whether it's Final Fantasy XIV, Diablo 3, or his latest addiction, Dark Souls 2. Which seems to be kicking your ass so far, from what I hear.
I hate that game. I hate that game.
Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1. That's MAGICKMANN1. Of course, remember, head on over to GameBreaker.tv. Enter for your chance to win a signed collector's edition of Final Fantasy XIV, signed by none other than the man Yoshi P himself. Again, thank you to Square Enix for checking that out, giving that to us. If you don't win the game, we still got great game offers there for you. Check out the latest one on Titanfall. Until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.
Game Breaker TV.